It's the first interview. So a few months ago, you did an amazing interview on moodhoney.ca for the Mood Swings interview series, which is looking at women who have gone through big transformations. And you gave some really great answers to the questions.
Caveat,
okay,
they were written, so I'm really good at that part.
Oh.
Now, talking, I'm probably pretty good, but the writing was probably like, you probably read it like, oh my God, that's so true. But then saying it, I can't evoke that same.
Can't do it.
Okay,
Can't do it.
so as long as we all know.
Okay, so completely disingenuous in person.
Yes, exactly.
Read the written interview. Ignore her today.
Yes.
So some of the things that you said I want to remind you of, which was, I asked what makes you feel joy.
Okay.
And what you said was, joy has nothing to do with acquiring more and everything to do with allowing what's already here.
Here, yes. Yes, that would make sense.
Have you always felt that way?
Never. No. No.
No, okay. Was there any like big thing in your life that changed that for you?
Shopping used to be my joy. Specifically buying new clothes. But it was like a fucked up relationship.
Okay. Because
it would, as I tapped, and then as I walked out of the store, drained me. Guilt, shame, defeat, judgment, criticism.
Interesting.
So like preparing to go to, let's say Winners, preparing to go to Winners, I get like so excited.
Dopamine.
Yep. And then picking things and being like, okay, I could pay for that with this. And then when I get my mileage check, I'll do, okay. Then I would do it. And then
it was all over.
Every time. Every single time it was exactly the same cycle.
That feels awful.
It's awful.
So that does take me back a little bit. So let's just talk a little bit about how you sort of became this Carley. Because this Carley is not the Carley from 5 years ago, from 10 years ago. Right. So you made a very huge pivot. And some of these pivots are sometimes very obvious to the outside world. Some of these pivots are very internal. But I just want to take a second to talk about the pivot from sort of having a more traditional job in social services to becoming a psychospiritual coach and sort of all the amazing and creative things you do now. So can you kind of talk a little bit about what that was like?
I knew I was there for 10 years. I was an autism consultant for 10 years. I knew the last 2 years that this wasn't right. That it wasn't fulfilling, that I was just going through the motions, that there was something not right, but I was very good at it. So I was like, well, I'm really good at it. What else could it possibly be?
So
that's wrong. So deceiving.
So
it was after my rock bottom, I would say, of antidepressants, girls' night, on antidepressants, but having to pretend I'm not.
Okay.
The antidepressants themselves worked really, really terribly on me.
Okay.
To like suicidal ideations, right? Like really like, what the fuck is this? Like I'm supposed to be feeling better. And I was for like 2 days and then all of a sudden like something happened. So I was feeling like that, trying to be the perfect Carley that I had created. The perfect Carley I created was her hair is always done. Her clothes are always different. You didn't see me in 2 different
outfits. Like the Oscars.
Yes.
You might even do like a mid
you have to. If you want me to like you, you have to.
Who wore it best, Carley or Carley? Never twice though.
Yes, and my own I would critique it, right? Like I would critique myself. I would critique what I was wearing. I would critique, assuming everybody else was, and nobody gives a fuck about whether I wore that shirt or this shirt, right? But they did to me because if I looked good on the outside, you loved me.
That inner critic was big,
huge.
Yeah,
I think it was like the only voice I had.
Was inner critic.
Was do more. That's not enough. It was literally the only one.
And those things are unachievable, right? There's never pleasing that inner critic. It's always just out of reach.
Yes, but it makes you believe that you almost can.
That's fair,
right? Like, you're right. I do need those boots. That would do it. You're right, right? Like, do I want to go out with just putting my hair up and not washing it? Or are you ridiculous?
That's silly.
You could see somebody, right? So like, no. So like every time I even went grocery shopping, you have to do your hair first.
Right. Yeah.
So much energy went into, I have to be this Carley that I've created that people have come to expect. Otherwise, it will be my demise. Yeah. So like that's pretty heavy, and like over time that was like wearing on me a lot, but I didn't know that's what it was.
You felt that drain, but you couldn't put your finger on where it's coming from.
Yes. It was anxiety and depression. It was anxiety most days, depression would just come and go. And I got to the point where I was like, well, this will come and go, so that's what it is. And not knowing that there's a deeper thing here for me.
So now you're taking medication, you're achieving at work, the mask looks really good.
Really good.
Your human mask is super straight, shiny, and yet I'm still at rock bottom.
Yes. Yes.
So then what?
So that the girls' night was hallucinations, literally losing my mind. Like literally losing my mind. Like I can't even hold this together. I was in the bathroom half the time just it was the absolute worst night of my life. However, when I returned to it, I've returned to it in meditation, and there was a raven outside the whole time, and its job was to usher me over the threshold. So it hung out my friend's house. It would just hang out there all night.
Wow.
I left there at 5 a.m. supposed to drive other people home. I was like, not in this state.
Can't do it.
I'm leaving by myself. You guys can find your way home. I can't even think about somebody else.
Was that unlike normal cars?
Very.
Yeah.
Never.
Right.
She said it, she will do it at all costs.
Yeah.
So I drove to my mom's, had a significant if you think about glass shattering, that's what it was. And literally after I spewed it all out and cried for an hour, sobbed for an hour, in meditation, I saw that raven cawed and just like flew off because her job was done. I just had to get her to where she knew where this is where she's supposed to be.
Right.
So it was that little rock bottom that made me realize like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how are you pretending to be perfect when inside you want to kill yourself?
Yeah.
How are you doing this? It's not possible for a human being to be able to do this. Mm-hmm. What are you holding on to? And the thing is, like, the more I grasped onto who I was, the more it would just like slip through my fingers. Right. Like, that's not even here anymore.
So the catalyst had presented itself.
Yes.
It was like, there's no other way.
There's no going back.
There's no out.
She doesn't exist.
Yeah.
She doesn't exist.
She doesn't exist.
So you can't return to her.
Right.
But the beautiful thing was, even if she did exist, I wouldn't have returned to her. I would have been like, I can't.
Yeah.
We can't do this.
We got us into this.
We can. Can we find another way?
Yeah. I just want to say for a second that your earlier reference about only being able to write something with impact is wrong. Because what you just shared
is good information.
Is so beautiful.
Okay.
And so relatable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And very illustrative of how a person must feel in that scenario.
Yes.
So then what? Do you immediately have your faculties, your North Star, your next direction? Like, what does that mess look like before you start to like build a foundation on it?
Okay, so the sweetest part of it was that my job was in a transition at that time where they were doing new policies and procedures and blah, blah, and I couldn't do the same things that I did in the past.
What a gift.
Such a gift.
The old reshuffle gift.
So there was literally nothing for me to do.
Mm.
So I worked full time and there wasn't an office, and I worked from home with nothing to do. So it was probably a period of like 9 months. I would say that first dark night of the soul was that entire time, was the 9 months of like, it took everything out of me to just, okay, I gotta get the kids to school. I gotta get the kids to school. And after I dropped them off at school, I literally had nothing to do. So there would be days where I'd just be like, forest then. And there was one specific day I remember where like, it must have been in like in October because the leaves were falling. And I laid under this big grandmother tree, which I know now was the grandmother tree, right? Like at the time I was just like, this one seems really like wonderful. You can help me? So I laid underneath her and the leaves were falling. And I said to her, how come I can't let go like that? And she said to me, which this is the first time a tree talked to me, right?
Awesome.
She said to me, Carley, you're here. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. But I'm not, right? Like I'm not. I'm still fucked up. I'm still, yes, all the things. I still want to buy things. I still think I need to be this person, right? Like I still want to hold on to that. Mm-hmm. But the initial realization that I was holding on to something was the first leaf falling. Yeah. The like, wait. Who is this?
Such an important thing. I feel like so often when women are going through these huge changes, like we're so conditioned to act.
Yes.
Like, I'll make a list and now we'll do this. Let me take an audit of my life.
Yes. There must be a practical way to solve this.
Correct.
Yes.
A matrix.
Yes.
Letting go is everything.
So that was the first time. So my mom, that day when I went to her house, woke her up at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, right? Climbed into bed with her, and I said, I can't be this Carley anymore. And I just kept repeating it over and over and over again. And she said to me, well, then who are you? And I literally, like, nothing in me wanted to create a story or pretend, nothing. I literally was like, I don't know. And it was like the most truthful I had ever been.
You didn't know.
I have no idea. Wow. But that was the beginning, and I have this in my book, right? Like, that was the beginning where, like, literally, I feel like everything that is here to support me, like animal allies, tree allies, my spirit guides, my higher self, everything was surrounding me. And they were all at the same time like, she's ready.
Awesome. So you immediately felt, you didn't call in a community. You just sort of felt like it was there.
Yeah, they like called themselves in. Like
knock, knock.
We've
been ready.
Oh, she summoned us. Right? As soon as she said, I don't know. She summoned us.
We know.
Yeah, they know.
No way.
They know.
So, okay, so definitely it's super important for you to check out carleyjohnson.ca. You can find out more about what Carley does. It's incredible, the breadth of the work she does. But one of the things I think is really interesting that we've never talked about is talking with trees.
Oh.
Which, and I feel like we've covered so many things in our time together, but if someone like doesn't know what that means, or is like, could I do that? Or what do they need to know?
Okay, so I've talked to people in groups about this before.
Okay.
Because my plants will talk to me too. It's mostly trees, but plants and
That's why
animals.
right here for you.
Right, but she's very happy, by the way. So the first thing is that you cannot judge or criticize what you think when you're around the tree. So like the tree will say something to you. And for me, how I view it is the tree holds energy, and then I translate that energy, and then my brain translates it into something that I know, which is words.
Okay.
So that's what will happen. The tree always has the energy going on.
Mm-hmm.
I get to the energy, and then I translate that energy into words.
Okay.
And it's usually just the sentence that drops into me. And at first, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to judge that, and you're going to be like, I just thought that. That was just me. You're going to do that. Go for it. You're going to do that.
Okay.
But just be open to be like, okay, but that's a really good thought, right? Like, oh,
awesome.
But that's like kind of wise. Like, that's an interesting thought. That could help me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it's a thought that actually could, like, potentially help you, that you didn't just come up with, that's it. So there was one time when a tree said to me, I was doing the dishes. He called me outside. It's this oak that I know was actually born on the same day I was born. Like this is what he said to me. He was like, I was born the same day. We're exactly the same age. I was like, I've been wanting to meet something like this. So he called me outside. I was doing the dishes in our old house. I went outside, and he said to me, it doesn't matter what your fear is. Your dream is already happening. And I was like, that's actually really helpful, to be honest with you, because it doesn't matter.
Really needed that one.
I really needed that one. It doesn't actually matter how many times I get afraid of the thing already exists. So like, it's almost like, go for it. Go for it. Like,
you can
okay.
just set that down.
You can, or you can feel it. It doesn't actually matter. The thing is there regardless.